Hi there.
Oh.
Those are called, what's that?
Maracas.
Maracas, okay.
This is the maraca.
Okay. We have two of them, I
And
thought.
this is, some people, you got the big one called checkity.
Oh, okay.
But these are the maracas. And this is I believe, according to the information they got, given to me from the Brazilian indigenous people use these to ward off devils.
Oh, okay. Well, you see
But they use them at Africa too. So
shamans and stuff like that.
Hey, let me get the busy.
Oh,
Yes.
Okay. Yes, indeed. All right. Okay.
It's Tuesday night and it's chilly,
Yeah.
but what you need to have is a nice cold cup of acai,
A cold cup of acai. Got you.
which warms you inside.
Got it.
Okay, last night I read a piece about something called cliques, and I was offering it was kind of a shout out to women of African descent, and I did mention two really, really wonderful, great women. One of them was a lady named Salena-Hawkins, and the other is a woman named Director Rosie Hooks at the Watchtowers Art Center, the director of the Watchtowers Art Center. So that's my addendum.
Oh, did you mention Rose Mitchell?
I did. I'm sure if I didn't,
Okay.
I would like to mention Rose Mitchell, who was the former director of the African Studies Department at the Bilbrook Library.
Got it.
Now, going right along, this is a very short piece that I'm calling Two Faces of Cultural Imperialism.
Oh.
And it has to do with the fact, did I introduce myself? I'm Odie Hawkins.
Oh, hi, Odie
Hey,
Hawkins.
and I'm the writer of some columns that appeared in the African Times newspaper during the years 1996, 1998. And what I'm doing is reprising, reviewing, looking back at these things and see how they apply to what's happened today.
So you did newspaper columns, you did radio plays.
Newspaper columns, video plays, movie scripts, short story collections, novels, some 40, some I believe at this point. And
Are you still writing?
as much as my copper written hand will allow me to do it, yeah. It's I know some people who say, hey, I've written enough. Let me stop. I'm 82 years old. No, well, I'm 86, and I think I have maybe 4 or 5 more years in me, for as long as I live. How about that?
I'm looking forward.
Hopefully, it'll be longer than 90.
Yeah,
If it gets to be 92, I'm
I
sure
see.
that I'll paraphrase Charlton Heston. You'll have to pry that dead ballpoint pen out of my hand.
Fair enough.
I'm not a typist.
Okay.
You were about to say.
Okay. Well, I'm looking forward to your next novel. And,
Hey, I'm starting on it right now.
okay.
I'm halfway into it. I refuse to admit that that's what I'm into, but it seems to be going that way. Okay, having said all of that, I want to get started on this because there's something waiting for me to write in there right now.
Gotcha.
I'm calling this cultural imperialism. At the time I wrote this, I called it diaspora, and it's from September 15th to 1998, and I'm calling it Two Faces of Cultural Imperialism.
Okay, so September 15th to the 30th.
That's not. Oh yeah, you got it. We did the newspaper was every other week.
Okay.
So 15:30, and then it'd be 15 next time 30.
First,
First to the
15th.
first, something like
First 15th. Okay.
Every 2 weeks. Occasionally, Mr. Charles Anchan, the publisher, lovely guy, would call a halt to the whole thing for a week or so because he just simply was, exhausted from trying to put out the African Times newspaper, which really was quite a good newspaper when I look back on it. It published news from Africa. He didn't focus simply on Nigeria because he was Nigerian, but he focused on African events and events having to do with African Americans. So it was the first time and the last time I've seen a newspaper that focused on African American events and connections.
I think it still exists, but it's only an online newspaper.
Oh, is
now.
that right?
Right.
Oh.
Okay. Whether or not he's still in charge, I don't know. But, yeah.
Well, he should be proud of himself because we might have a better understanding of each other. What he called continental Africans and Africans in the diaspora.
Gotcha.
We might have a better understanding of each other's cultures. I remember having some African guy, I think he was from Liberia, of all places, and asked, how did all these Africans wind up in these islands out there in the Atlantic? What? He knew about Jamaica and Barbados, but how about Antigua and Angola and Dominica? They were slave drop-off points.
Yes.
You putts.
If you really want to know.
Well, anyway,
All right.
going right along. Cultural imperialism. Two interlocked cultural developments were the catalyst for this article. An argument with my Ghanaian fiancé and a fascistic attempt by the California Barbering and Cosmetology Program, formerly called the California State Licensing Board of Barbering and Cosmetology, to shut down a hard-working young sister's braiding operations, Mrs. Sabrina Reese. Why? Because the usual suspects can't figure out a way to make money from an art that African women have been doing since they first grew hair, braiding. Why? Well, but first, my argument with Afua. Afua, why must you have your hair starched and ironed? Your hair looks and smells so much better when you wear it natural or in braids. Odie, she says, you just don't understand. That's so bush. Only small girls wear their hair in that fashion. My friends would laugh at me if I didn't have my hair done. And so the love of my life, the victim of the ultimate cultural imperialism, is off to have her lovely hair fried. Incidentally, I invented this scenario. She didn't exist, doesn't exist, but it seemed like a good way to make my point. But at least I must say she's not as culturally warped as her 24-year-old girlfriends, Edinan and Akuzwa, that have been bleaching their faces for a couple of years. I thought they had vertigo or something when I first met them. Both have beige tinted faces and cocoa-colored necks and bodies. In Ghana, they call them Fanta Coke girls because their faces resemble orange mineral and the rest of them are coke dark. Ghana and other countries on the West Coast, I hear, seem to be filling up with bleaching creams, chemical hair straighteners, self-hatred stuff that many African American women weaned themselves from way back in the 60s. Ironically, my darling Afua is fighting me to become a chocolate-skinned imitation of an Obrune, while Sister Sabrina Reese, owner of 2 braiding salons, is fighting the cultural imperialist Gestapo agencies to preserve African American tradition. Wonderful example of what can happen when the historical billboard screams loud enough. They're screaming cigarettes sales 5 cents per nail in Accra these days, and people are smoking more because they think it looks sophisticated, cool, and Western. That's cultural imperialism.
Right.
And I'm going to let that go right there so that we can get back to this
My goodness. Yes, indeed.
in the coming Monday.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
How did Grace wear her hair?
Pressed and ironed like
Oh, my.
all the rest of the
Okay.
sophisticated ladies in Accra, Ghana did. I mean,
Okay.
natural.
That's right.
Funny thing, I used to just trip out seeing the beautiful young schoolgirls
Right,
who would
yeah,
wear
see,
their hair.
right. No,
But
natural.
then adulthood meant that you had to go get your hair straightened. Braiding, as you recall when we were there in 2013, 2014, that seemed to be taking hold a little bit, but not even as far as it has happened here.
Right.
I mean, sisters are paying, how much to get their hair braided?
Like $400, several $100.
$700.
Several $100.
$700.
Mhm.
And I can remember,
1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah.
believe it or not, I actually had the opportunity. She would dispute it, but I actually had the opportunity to sit up and braid my sister's hair a couple of times. It kind of went off to the left a little bit, but I did. All you do is just,
Right,
take
yeah.
3 strands and braid.
Exactly. Okay. Like you're doing a rope or something. Yeah.
That's what I was thinking about. And she screamed, "Mama! You braid my hair wrong!"
Yes, indeed.
Listen, it's been real.
Okay, your website is www.odiehawkins.com. And it's been an interesting, rainy, but not gloomy day. Thank you, Odie Hawkins.
See you next Monday.
And
It
this